Hello guys, my reverse onslaught revolver build. This build focuses on maxing out crit damage to do insane damage to enemies, specifically crippling their head or if it's a boss, crippling their head or their legs to immobilize them. So the crit damage will either kill them or do insane damage to their head, or they will cripple their legs and make sure they can't move. This build focuses on maxing out reload speed, so the reload speed is insanely slow, since revolvers have a very famously bad reload speed because of the a revolver is going to take a long time to reload. So it's also focused on, of course, onslaughts in the name. So we first focus on reverse onslaught is the basis of the build. Um, this is the gun I'm using. Oh, whoops. This is the gun I'm using. It's the Gunther's Big Iron. It has the two-shot legendary effect, which adds a projectile. It also has weapon speed, which increases weapon speed. The most the there's it has a swift legendary effect, which increases my reload speed, which is essential, and it also has a unique effect as a unique weapon that increases your reload speed by 45%. Um, After the video is done, I'm actually gonna show you how fast the reload speed is with every single thing I can do to increase my reload speed with this gun. So first, we're going to look at the perk cards, then my food, then mutations, then I'm going to do a test, and then the video is going to be done. So let's look at the revolver build, the Onslaught revolver build. So Arms Creeper and Bandolier both increase your carry weight or decrease carry weight from other items. Scatter Shot is used to do more damage through other limbs and actually does pretty crazy damage to any enemy. Perception, of course. Concentrated fire is essential for almost all VATS builds. You can focus on specific body parts instead of focusing on none, just the body itself. Fast fighter, of course, is essential to max out reload speed. 50% of the reload speed, excuse me, 50% of the movement speed you have is reload speed, which is really pretty insanely good. If you can actually increase your reload speed by using perks um, and food items, which I know there's a food item that increases reload speed. I have not done that, but I definitely could do that. The Hunter increases your VATS range by 20%. Number Cruncher increases your damage per how much more AP cost you have. Of course, Tank Killer is essential for any build because it ignores enemies' armor. Starch Genes for mutations. Life Giver for HP, since this build has a lot of endurance. It has insane amounts of HP, and it has pretty insane amounts of HP, which will keep you alive. Ironclad to have more armor protection. Limb damage, Skeleton for limb damage reduction, and Radiation Power. I always use this with my ghoul builds with my damage because when you expend glow, a small amount of it does 20% bonus damage that you would add on to your weapon, which is pretty insane if you have a really high shot weapon. And especially, I'm not sure if it I didn't really test, but if it doubles with both the two-shot legendary effect. I don't know if it does, but I would think it would because it has two bullets. I'm not sure if that bypass the um, bypass. But anyways, stringent numbers to increase positive effects for mutations. Tenderizer, this is very good against bosses and high-level enemies because each attack you do increases damage, which is pretty insane if you're fighting a boss that has insane amounts of health, like the Scorch Beast Queen or Earl. Both have really high damage or high health, so each attack you do, you're going to do more damage. Inspirational does more XP on a team, and Spiritual Healer does more HP regen, which is pretty decent. And this build does not focus on intelligence, so it's not an XP build. But I do use Field Surgeon to increase my Stimpaks and right away healing, which I will actually use right away healing, but I will use Stimpaks. Agility and luck are, of course, essential to any VATS build. This is one of the more key perk cards I would recommend using. Gun Tricks, where you can reload faster, which is pretty essential for a revolver, and it makes sense. That's probably what it's made for, or maybe not. I don't know. Gunslinger Master. This is the one that makes your onslaught stacked reverse, so you spend them over time. So each I think it's about a second, maybe a little less than a second. Your stacks regen over time, and then once you shoot, you get rid of one. And I imagine it doubles it once you must hit twice, but I have 21 stacks right now. So which is pretty insane, I would say. Let's go back to that. Sorry, give me a minute. Okay, so then of course the general onslaught perks are Gorilla Master, Gorilla Expert, and Gunslinger Expert. All increase your stacks. I did see that the range damage to close enemies is 105, which is insane. That's gonna do so much damage. Of course, Gorilla Expert, each stack increases your reload speed. That'll be really good for this build. Action Ghoul for regen. I simply couldn't fit Action Boy and Action Ghoul in the same thing here because there was just too many per cards to deal with. So I had to go with the less point one. So your APR isn't going to regen as fast, but it will regen pretty fast. And also, if your AP doesn't regen faster, then your stacks are going to stack up faster while you're regenning. Though I'm not fully sure if that's how it works. Of course, the general luck perks to get crits. Better criticals to increase crit damage. Class Freak to decrease negative effects of your mutations. Critical Savvy to only consume 70% of your critical meter, so you can, you know, some of your critical meter are still left. Boreas Clover misses in VATS not contribute to your critical meter. So each miss you take in VATS, you gain more meter. Junk Shield is essential for any build. I would say this is one of the best perks to have anytime, any build at all. Junk Shield, the amount of luck you have and how much junk you hold increases damage resistance and energy resistance. This is essential for this build specifically. You have a 36% chance to instantly reload, so you wouldn't even have a reload animation. You would just be able to shoot immediately after. So you would have reload animation when you're doing. You would immediately reload. 36% chance doesn't seem like a lot, but it happens way more than you think. It does happen a lot. Rolling criticals to do more crit damage. Since, when you're glow beside, you do 35% more crit damage. So that's the perk cards. Next, we're going to look at food specifically. So I'll show you the food I've got on. Company teas is what I always use. You could also use canned coffee if you have the coffee maker. Of course, it depends how you play. You know, you can just spam coffee and have regen for a long time. And that's pretty OP. You could do that. Blood bug steak, which gives you more AP. Deathclaw egg omelet, which increases your regen. Doesn't increase it by a whole lot, but it does increase it by a bit. Marler turkey to increase damage resistance. Pemmican to increase endurance. Red scorpion steak to increase fire resistance. Roasted Mirelurk meat for 25 AP regen. There is soft shell Mirelurk steak. I forget what the exact name is, but it increases your AP by more. But I just use this one instead. Mirelurk slime cake, which increases your charisma by 3. So if you go to specials, your charisma is 1 because nothing I can really do about that. I'm a ghoul, so it decreases my, you know, my charisma by so much it doesn't really matter at this point. I just don't have my charisma super high, so it doesn't entirely matter that much. But the healing effects from the other charisma perk cards will still work, no matter it's a little bit. So you could change those out for another perk points. You could like put it in more for more carry weight and strength, or you could put it in like them in some other one that gives you better leg up in a battle. Smoked Mirelurk fillets to increase carry weight. Swirl on a stick, which increases your agility. Stingwing fillet to increase strength, and wolf ribs to increase perception. Next, here are my mutations. My first mutation is adrenal reaction. Each kill you get on a kill streak, the more damage you do. Carnivore is what I always use for all my builds, which you would know. If you watch my previous videos, I always use Carnivore. I've heard that Herbivore gives you better crit damage and better damage for VATS, but I don't specifically use that because if you watch my previous videos, I have a lot of resource collectors that have a ton of meat items. There's a couple resource collectors that have food herbivore items, but I don't use those because I have this build and they have no they don't have any benefits to you. Chameleon, this isn't specifically used for this build because it's not a sneak build, because you could do a sneak build with this. You definitely could, but you have to like change out all their well, I guess you could do a sneak build, but you have to get rid of all the reverse onslaught and all the onslaught per cards. So you could do a sneak build by staying in like do this, and you could do it that way, or you could just go run in and gun loud. You could do that too. Eagle Eyes for crit damage and perception. Egghead for the extra intelligence you need for battle. Marsupial for carry weight and jump height. Jump height's pretty useful. More useful than you think. Jump off cliffs, jump away from enemies instead of just running away. I mean, you get higher and they can't really hit you unless they shoot you, or some other way. Scaly Skin to increase damage resistance and energy resistance. And Speed Demon is probably one of the best out of these mutations. I would recommend using this because it increases your reload speed by 40%. So the reload speed for this weapon is gonna be absurdly high. So in a minute I will show you the reload speed for this gun. It's gonna be pretty insane, and I'll show you. Actually, I'll do that right now. Actually, so I'll shoot all my weapons out of my gun. So see how fast that is too. That's pretty fast. So look how fast the reload speed is. That's absurd. Look how fast that is. Yeah, so I've tested this before, and look how fast that is. That's why I like maxing out the reload speed for this build, because it does crazy amounts of reload speed, and you can get back into the action really quick. And especially since this gun has a very slow reload speed. I mean that's pretty OP to max all this stuff. If you do want to use a different revolver, recommend putting the Swift Legendary effect on it and having all the other perk cards I have. But I use this one specifically because it's my best revolver, and you could use, like I said, you could use other revolvers that have better legendary effects that you could use, but I use this. Okay, well I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you use this build yourself, and I hope you have a great day. Bye bye.